We went to Disneyland for the first time.
Yay!
And it was awesome. Today we're talking about it. I'm Cal.
I'm Amberlynn.
And you're watching
The Adventure Gateway.
We went to California for the very first time.
Yeah, we did.
And it was awesome. The weather wasn't, but the trip was. Starting off, today we're going to talk about our trip, what we did, what we liked about Disneyland, what we didn't like about Disneyland. I want to try not to compare Disneyland to Disney World because I kind of want that to be its own type of podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's its own thing.
I just want to talk about it as its own thing, like you said, like its own thing.
No park is better than the other, you know? It's Disney. Disney is Disney is Disney.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because, you know, you're always going to have the park that you like the best.
Well, yes. But that doesn't make it better.
No, it does not. It just makes it, you know, personal. It comes down to personal preference.
Yes, before we go any further, I do need to do something.
Go pee?
No.
What?
That's better.
Oh. Let's start with the logistics of getting there because I think this was the first wake-up call for me. Not wake-up call because I was prepared for it, but it was very different than what we're used to. If you're flying into Disneyland, you have a couple choices as far as airports go. The biggest one, obviously, is going to be LAX, and that's going to give you the most options depending on where you're coming from. If you're flying internationally, if you're flying from the other side of the country. We personally do not like layovers whatsoever. We try to avoid them at all costs. So we took a direct flight to LAX, and it was a great flight. Longer flight than we're used to, but, you know, for all those beautiful people that are coming from the UK, just to get to Disney World, they're facing a long international flight of eight hours or so, I believe. So we really can't complain about a 5-hour flight. But it, just something to keep in mind if you're coming from the East Coast to the West Coast. Then once you land in LAX, you are looking at, with no traffic, about 45 minutes to an hour. With traffic, about an hour and a half minimum. You've heard about the famous LAX traffic. We're fairly fortunate on this trip. We didn't hit too much traffic, I feel like, than what was talked about.
And the people that we did see on the roads were driving like maniacs.
There's a lot of crazy drivers, like absolutely crazy drivers. So yeah, our travel distance or our travel time actually from LAX to Disneyland was better than usual, is what our driver said. It was less than an hour, just less than an hour, about 50 minutes. So it does take some time to get to Disneyland from LAX. Your other option is going to be the John Wayne Airport in Orange County, and that's going to get you a whole lot closer to Disneyland, but you most definitely will have to lay over, especially if you're coming from the East Coast, in a hub airport, maybe even LAX, I'm not sure, and then take a short, your next flight to John Wayne. But that's a good option if you're looking for a more manageable size airport that's not LAX, although we didn't really have any trouble. And that brings us to our next point. If you are flying into LAX, you have a couple options of transportation. Now, your main option, and the one maybe I would recommend, is Uber or Lyft, which most people know about, everybody knows about or should know about.
What did we go with, Cal?
We used so I'm a paranoid traveler, right? And I just wanted everything to be secure. It was a new place that we weren't familiar with. I wanted everything to be booked, not secure. I just wanted everything to be booked for the peace of mind, knowing that when we got there, we knew exactly what we're doing. I knew that Uber or Lyft would be fine, but in my head, I just wanted something. So I booked for ourselves a Carmel private shuttle. Now, I will reserve judgment as far as Carmel. Okay, our review of Carmel, we take into consideration their customer service, the cost, and also their drivers. That's kind of the three areas that you're thinking about when you book a transportation service. The cost and also convenience. But the cost was a set fee, which is different from Ubers or Lyfts, because depending on traffic and depending on how popular ordering an Uber or Lyft is at that time, your price will jump up and down. But I checked multiple times in different times of day the price, and it always ranged around $80 to $100 to get from LAX to Disneyland or Anaheim. And Carmel each way was around $100. So you're not really saving money with Carmel. In fact, you might even pay more depending on, because we booked a sedan, and if you have a larger family, you can book a larger vehicle to take you, but that is obviously going to cost you more. So an Uber XL might save you a penny or two, but it's going to be around the same price unless you just hit Uber right. The other thing about taking Uber or Lyft is that you have to take a shuttle to a certain area that you can get an Uber or Lyft from. With the Carmel private shuttle, you do not need to do that. What happened was we landed in LAX. We automatically, 5 minutes after we landed, like right on the dot, we got a call from our driver saying, hey, just let me know where to pick you up. And we told him, and within 5-10 minutes, he picked us up.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and so customer service-wise, Carmel was great. Yeah, booking was easy. In fact, if you're booking a trip with me, that's actually something I can book for you as a Carmel shuttle. What I will say is between our two drivers, our second driver, going back to the airport, he was fine. I think in general, you have to drive, especially I've found with Lyft drivers and taxi drivers, they are worried about one thing, and that's their next ride. Not that I ever felt unsafe in general.
I did.
No. We'll get to that. The second driver, we never felt unsafe, and we wanted to reserve judgment and take the transportation both ways. Our second driver getting us back to the airport, I didn't feel unsafe because of the driver. I just, in general, LA traffic is crazy, so you have to be prepared for. The driver did well, and he was speeding. He was not, I wouldn't say speeding. He was going with the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
And he had to slam on his brakes, but everybody else was slamming on those brakes. That's kind of just how traffic is. And, you can see that that's kind of just the norm for LA. However, our driver going to Anaheim, we had just arrived. We were a little sleepy, jet lag and all that. Long, decent sized flight, leaving early in the morning. Our driver there, nicest guy in the world. Well, not the nicest guy in the world, but he was nice.
He was friendly.
He just seemed like he shouldn't be driving anymore. And we will not say who he was, what his name was. So he picks us up. We get in the car. He's about 75 years old. Not a problem. We start driving. He just, he confirms my name. He confirms where we're going to the Disneyland hotel. Okay, perfect. So he's driving. We're chatting, normal, almost like a normal Uber at this point. And about 10-15 minutes into the ride, it's like almost like he dawned on him he didn't actually know where he was going. I kind of just assumed he knew where he was going. So he starts fiddling with his phone. And some people can get away. Nobody should fiddle with their phone and drive because it's a distracted driver. Some people, I know for a fact that a lot of people do it. You shouldn't do it. I'm just going to say that. Some people get away with it because, they've kind of mastered it, which you shouldn't, again. And some people are terrible at it. 75 years old, his reflexes were not the best. He's terrible at it. He starts getting on his phone trying to find the GPS, the address that he can punch in the GPS on his phone. However, his phone, he can't figure out how to operate. So he's trying to figure out how to turn on his phone. I'm at the point where I'm ready to ask him to either what can I do to help? Because he's drifting. He's getting to the point where the van is going because it's on the rumble strips, right? And that's when you noticed, because you were reading, you were relaxing after a long flight, and when you get on rumble strips in a vehicle, you notice that something's wrong. Like, okay, what's going on here? And I could see you starting to panic with this, because you are a nervous passenger and driver.
With good reason. I've had experience.
Yeah, you've had accidents, and yeah, understandable. So I'm at the point to ask him, hey, what can I do to help? Do you need me to help you with your phone? What do you need? Because I just want you to keep your eyes on the road. Finally, he asked me, hey, my phone isn't working. Can you punch the address in the GPS? I said, no problem. Yeah, you focus on driving. I'll punch in the GPS. And so I punched it in the GPS. I turned the volume up. I'm ready to, hold out the phone in front of him if that's what I need to do. And he's still playing with his phone. Finally, it turns on, though, and he punches in the GPS. And everything was fine after that. He was a perfectly good driver. But please, if you can't focus on the road and punch in the GPS at the same time, I've seen plenty of drivers. They need to adjust something real quick or skip a song or whatever. It's not usually an issue. But this is the first time ever I felt in transportation that I ever felt unsafe. And that's not a good feeling. And that was not a good first impression of Carmel's drivers. But like we said, the second driver, not so bad. I think in general, LA traffic can be scary if you're not used to city driving. I drive in the city of Boston quite a bit. It's still scares me when I have to do it. We're country people. We've grown up in the country. And we do travel to Orlando a lot. So, we see crazy drivers there. But this, in general, Lyft and Uber drivers are mostly local people. And we've never had an issue. They know how to drive in it. And maybe we're just more tired then, or I don't know what the issue. But we were just more cognizant of this. And this might have been just a weird experience. Anyways, I really didn't want to spend this long on it because obviously, it's just an older guy trying to, obviously if he's still working at 75 years old. The only reason I know he's 75 is because he told us. I just want to make sure I say that. Again, pretty nice guy. Obviously just trying to help pay his bills because he's still working. There's a reason you still work at 75. Yeah, I wish him all the best. But sir, if you're watching, probably not. Stop looking at your phone. Where were we staying, Amberlyn?
The Disneyland Hotel.
What was your first impressions of the Disneyland Hotel?
Wow, this is magical. I feel like I'm in the classic Disney era.
Yeah, so after that interesting ride, we were ready to get out and start our vacation.
Yes.
Which it was so comforting being in a place we've never been in before, but instantly feeling at home. And let me tell you, Disneyland Hotel does not disappoint with walking in and feeling like you're in Disney. The smell, the music, just the overall vibe, the cast members being amazing cast members as ever. Absolutely amazing. And that brings us kind of to the not transportation, Cal, the accommodations of Disneyland. It's very different. And as many people probably already know, the accommodations in Disneyland there is an amazing, vast amount of hotels, but none of them are on property. In fact, there is only 3 hotels that are on property, and I believe all of them technically fall into the deluxe category if you're comparing them to Disney World. In fact, the hotel that was called Paradise Pier is now called the Pixar Place Hotel. And that has racked up because of its renovations and its nicer theming and updated theming has racked up its rate to, it was on the low end about $300 a night. Now you're looking at just shy of $400 a night, I believe. But I will reserve judgment if it's worth that. when we go back and stay there eventually.
Oh, we're doing that. Okay.
I would love to. I mean, the Pixar Place Hotel, it sounds amazing, right? I mean,
well, it better be for that price.
all the footage that I've seen so far, the meet and greets, like you can meet Bing Bong, who I don't think that he's a very rare character to meet.
You can meet Bing Bong?
You can meet Bing Bong. The guy from Soul is playing the piano constantly in the lobby.
Why do I want to call him Hal? I know that's not his
Forget
name.
his name. So they have cast members playing the guy from Soul. He plays jazz piano in the lobby. And just touches like that, you're going to see all over the place. Pixar Place Hotel. This is not a Pixar Place Hotel podcast, but I definitely want to stay there.
I want to meet Bing Bong.
And then, so that's the low end. Pixar Place Hotel is the low end. Disneyland Hotel floats right in the middle as far as price goes. And then you're looking at the Grand Californian, which has the high starting price of, I want to say it's around $700 or so, if not more.
Night.
You won't be shocked to see it around 8.
Oh, it makes my head hurt.
And that's just a standard view room, obviously, so if you wanted something above that.
The only reason I would think that it was that much is because of how close in proximity it is to California Adventure.
California Adventure.
You can walk right into the park.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like to come back and stay there. There is a couple ways you can get it cheaper. We have to be honest. Obviously, it's not something that we can book as travel agents. But if you ever wanted to book DVC, you can. There is DVC rooms at the Grand Californian and actually at the Disneyland Hotel, which have very reasonable rentable DVC point rates. You're probably going to be looking more at the $400 to $500 range a night, which is a pretty hefty discount when you think about it. It might make that more approachable for someone.
Yeah.
But on the off season, you're probably looking at a discount as well. And Disneyland not as much, but they do offer discounts on their hotels once in a while or vacation packages. So it's something to look out for by following us on social media. So we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, which all three locations are within walking distance to the two parks, which is something we were not used to whatsoever, being able to walk to theme parks.
Wait a minute. You don't have to board a bus and sit or stand for 10 minutes?
Yeah. And then
you can just walk in?
At the end of the night, you're not rushing crowds to get back to a car or a bus.
There aren't these massive hordes that you're fighting.
Yeah, exactly. What's cool about staying at the Disneyland Hotel too is you're walking through downtown Disney and you're slowly losing people. The first part where you lose people is a lot of people are taking the trams back to the parking the parking place. We
parking
didn't
areas?
use a car.
Yeah.
So we don't know. And then you're walking, there's still a decent amount of people, and then you lose the rest of them by the end to different shops and things like that. And then there's another parking area that people turn off into. And by the time you walk under this Mickey Sorcerer hat, there's maybe one person next to you. It's such a nice feeling. And let me tell you, Disneyland Hotel has the vibes. It might be one of my favorite hotels.
Yeah.
Or Disney hotels, I should say. It is fantastic. The smells in all the towers.
Oh my goodness. I wanted to bottle it and bring it home with me.
Exactly. Exactly. And you have Trader Sam's Tiki Bar.
Yes.
And you have an awesome quick service with a nice Hawaiian flair. And with the new DVC tower, you have an awesome pool bar with some great food and some awesome drinks at pretty decent prices, especially for the portion sizes. Mm-hmm. The food at the Disneyland Hotel, fantastic. At this pool bar, Palm Breeze Bar, I believe it was called. I would say the prices are on par with California prices, which we'll get to that. But the portion size, if you get the poutine, that would have filled both of us up if we had just gotten the poutine.
Yeah.
We didn't know how big it was.
It was so good.
And we got entrees on top of that. we stuffed ourselves. The drinks are, Disney price drinks, but good quality for the price. Trader Sam's, if you haven't been to the one in Polynesian, is an awesome tiki bar. Probably the best tiki bar in the world, in my opinion. I haven't been to all the tiki bars.
Is it the best tiki room, though?
I love this place. The drinks are going to be on the pricier side. You're probably going to, in the mixed drinks, you're going to pay $18 without the souvenir mug. The souvenir mugs are going to run you anywhere from $25 upwards to $30, $35. But it's worth, if you have the budget for it, it's worth getting at least one souvenir mug. Pick your favorite one, though. I wasn't thinking about it because I had already ordered a zombie earlier in the night and I didn't get the tiki mug with it.
I'm glad you didn't. That mug was creepy.
I wanted the zombie mug so bad. I ended up getting a Krakatoa Punch, which is a volcano tiki mug.
I like it.
Which was cool too. And then you got kind of a...
It was cool. It was
It looks almost like a whiskey barrel.
Yeah.
And it says Trader Sam's.
It was Shipwreck on the Rocks.
Right.
And it got it in a little barrel cup. And it's a nice quality mug.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to use it. I'm afraid I'm going to break it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the main difference here is the bar is set up differently than the one in the Polynesian. And you can actually get reservations inside the bar, which is a nice way of securing you don't have to join a walk-up list. You know that at that time you're able to get called up and you walk in, which is nice. It's a nice little extra perk of staying at the Disneyland Hotel, having those reservations. But you don't have to stay at the Disneyland Hotel to go here. If you're staying anywhere in Disneyland, it's worth making the trek over to the Disneyland Hotel just for Trader Sam's Tiki Bar. It's
just
a
for
classic.
the experience, It's just so fun. There's so many things to look at.
Yeah, and there's a story to it too, right? So it actually connects to Jungle Cruise, which no one really knew there was a story to Jungle Cruise, but there is.
Aha!
Now everybody knows because hopefully you've seen the movie. If not, go watch that movie.
You should.
And it's connected between Jungle Cruise and Trader Sam's.
And?
I'm forgetting about something.
Enchanted Tiki Room.
And the Enchanted Tiki Room. It's all connected, which is stinking awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful touches in there. You can spend hours just looking at all the decorations.
Because there are so many Easter eggs. Like, we saw some postcards from, what was it, a pirate to Trader Sam's? And there were pictures and, like, maps and stuff. It's so cool in there.
Yeah. It's worth checking out, guys, for sure. And the food you can get is the quick service next door, which is elevated food for sure. The poo-poo platter is kind of legendary there. That's what I recommend. Everything except the mac salad is on point. The mac salad is okay. It's just mac salad. It's not like...
I liked the, what is it, gyoza?
Yeah, the pork gyoza.
Yeah, that was good.
Very good. My highlight on the poo-poo platter dish was for sure the chicken wings. The glaze on those, I could bottle that up and take it home. I wanted to.
You want to use it on all of the meat.
Yeah, I would use that in every single meat. I would barbecue with it. I would do everything with that glaze. Absolutely.
And it would become your personality.
Yeah. Yep. In fact, I'm going to go look up a recipe after this. So that's the Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian, and the Pixar Place. We didn't really explore. We didn't get a chance to. Always something for next time. But if you wanted to stay off property, there's about 5 million options. I'll link some of those down below. And maybe you're seeing some of them on the screen right now. But off property, there is tons of hotels that are all walkable to the Disneyland theme parks. That's something that's just unique about California, is because of the size of it and because Disney doesn't own as much space as they do in Walt Disney World. You walk, a couple feet outside and you're in California. You're in Anaheim. You've left Disney property. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. I would say the majority of people that are coming here on a trip probably are staying off property because of those elevated prices of staying on property. But if you have the budget and you are Disney nerds like we are, you kind of had to stay on property. We kind of had to stay on property. But if it meant going back to Disneyland more often, I would stay off property in a heartbeat. Especially since like you can still walk and see the elements of the hotels. It's not like they're off limits. You can still go dine at each of the resorts. We can still go to Enchanted or Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Room.
And we can hang out.
Tiki Room. Tiki Bar. And we can what?
And we can hang out by the fire. They had that little outside area where you can hang out. And it was so nice. We got to do that.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're staying off property, go check out, all the amenities of the Disneyland Resort. It's super walkable. I've said walkable about 5 million times now.
Walkable. Walkabout.
Since we're talking about accommodation and prices, we can move on to food. But first of all, with food and pricing, you will notice there is a difference in pricing. I don't know. Look, in general, things are just getting more expensive. It's the world we live in now. You've heard the word inflation probably about a million times in the last year. I won't go into that. That's not our place on this podcast.
Do you hear that?
No, I'm not.
It's the sound of your wallet crying.
Yeah. You have to be careful in Disneyland. And maybe we'll do a podcast budgeting, how to budget, like the best bang for your budget as far as food items go. Because what gets you is not only are your entrees going to be an elevated price, there is some good deals. And again, we might highlight some of those in a future podcast, or maybe right now if we have time. But you have to be careful. Look at menus before you walk into any kind of sit down. Before you book dining reservations, look at the prices because they are sneakily expensive. I wouldn't say sneakily.
Oh no, I think they're sneaky.
You can see the prices. I don't know why I said that.
Well, certain menus they like hide the prices, but I think that's mostly at drink places like bars and stuff.
Yeah, for some reason, that is the Enchanted Tiki Room hides the prices. You have to ask for the prices, which is bizarre to me. But yeah, it just a forewarning. Disneyland food prices are more expensive than Disney World's food prices. So if this is not a comparison per se, but if you are used to Disney World's food prices, be prepared to spend more. On top of you've already spent more if you're staying on property, be prepared to spend more on food. That being said, tickets to the park are slightly cheaper than Disney World tickets.
Why do you think that is?
Less to do.
Huh.
Because there's only 2 parks. And
smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller. Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. But take that money you're saving. Maybe you've saved off property. Take that money you're saving by getting cheaper tickets and put it into food because you'll need the extra money. And you'll want to spend as much as you can on food if you're big foodies like us. So, top food item, go.
Ah! You can't just do that.
Yes, I can, and I just did. It's a tie. Actually, it's a tie for me.
Oh, I've got it.
It's between the Monte Cristo at Porter. As far as entrees go, Port Orleans, not Port Orleans, Cafe Orleans, the Monte Cristo sandwich with turkey and is it turkey and ham it had in it? It's a deep fried turkey and ham grilled cheese, pretty much, with powdered sugar on the outside and a raspberry compote of sorts. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. It will leave a rock in your stomach. It is worth it.
It's worth the rock.
As far as starters go, it's going to be at the same restaurant. The chicken gumbo, breathtaking. The chicken gumbo, so good. And yours is?
So mine is actually from Holly Jolliday.
Ah.
It's not called Holly Jolliday. Jolly Holiday.
Jolly Holiday. You said it backwards.
I did. Mine comes from Jolly Holiday with Mary. Well, actually, Mary Poppins isn't actually there, but it's the Mickey-shaped rose raspberry macaroon with the fresh raspberries in it.
Yeah,
Oh my
incredible.
goodness, it was so good.
The desserts and look, Disney just does desserts very well. I would say that's where they truly shine. I'm not saying they're entrees, that there's entrees out there and savory items that do not absolutely kick butt. But desserts in general, I've always found is where Disney really, really makes their magic happen.
Like, I can taste it right now. It was so good. It was so fresh, and I'm a big sweets person.
The item that looked most delicious but was most disappointing or most hyped for you? I have mine, like, clear as a day.
Okay, you go first then.
Everything at Bengal Barbecue.
Really?
Yeah, because that place is hyped up so much. In my head, I made it already taste like it was going to be the best barbecue I've ever had, but it's just average barbecue. Like, I could make better barbecue, but I also love barbecuing. It's just mass quantitied meat that has glazes on them. That being said, there is a couple items that stand out, but also for the portion size of the meat you get and what you're paying, again, elevated food prices, not the best. You have one?
I do.
Go ahead.
You're not going to know until I say it, and then you're going to be shocked.
Yeah, I can't really think of it. You're right.
So, I think the most disappointing was from Pim's Kitchen. It was just regular French toast. I got the big giant piece of French toast, which, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't like anything to write home about.
Yeah, the breakfast at Pim's Test Kitchen, not the best. I will say that we should have gone there for lunch. Lunch menu looked a lot better.
Like, I was really excited to go there because of the hype, man. And you're in Adventures Campus, and everything's going to be great. And then it was mediocre.
Yeah. We didn't try shawarma. There's a lot of snacks.
Oh, why didn't we do that?
That's the thing is Disneyland, for how packed it is, how do they have so many snack options? And if you're into festivals, when we were there, it was Lunar New Year, which brought its own culinary cuisine of a million different Asian dishes.
We couldn't even try any of the booths because the lines were so long.
The lines were
People.
insane. You have to dedicate a whole day just to try the festival booths because
You
of
would
the
have
insane
to,
lines.
because you'd have to wait in all these lines, and there's no such thing as a lightning lane for a food booth.
I would say, okay, as far as the best land overall that had the best food, for me would be San Francisco.
That was good. Yeah. Oh, the ramen.
And everything that you looked at on that menu in all three or four places that had food, it all sounded delicious. And everything we had there was like amazing. The Mexican mix with Asian, you wouldn't think it would work, but it works beautifully.
It works so well.
Yeah.
Like, they belong together, man.
Yeah. Overall, Disneyland gets a rating of 4 for food.
4 out of what?
4 out of 5.
Okay, good.
4 out of 5.
I'm like, what? I
No,
thought
no.
you were going out of 10.
Sorry, we rate in 5.
Okay.
With no halves.
No halves.
Yeah, makes it harder.
That's my favorite.
Because it would get a 5, but again, the price.
I also want to give it a 5, but yeah, the pricing, I can't. So yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you 4.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to, we're all guilty of it. Us especially, we hype everything because we're always so excited to
We're just excited to be alive,
places.
man.
But to give people, I'm trying with food especially to give people a better sense of where is it actually on the grand scheme of things. Because, this is people's hard-earned money. And if people are going to trust us enough to try something because we said it's amazing, I want them to actually think it's amazing.
I highly recommend that you all go to Jolly Holiday. It is a great place. The theming is on point. The food is amazing. Not to mention the beverages.
Everything, I can't think. There was very few bad meals. And in fact, I don't think I really tasted something that I was like, wow, this is awful.
No, it was just, oh, this isn't the best thing I've ever tasted.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly. Everything that we had there was like, wow, okay. I don't think there was very few items where there would be a circumstance where I wouldn't order it again. In fact, I don't really think there was any. Like, if you're in Disney World and you're craving meat, like barbecued meat, go to Bengal Barbecue. It's hard not to get some because you walk by it and it smells really good. Mm. You're walking through Adventureland and you smell barbecued meat.
They pump that smell out. They know what they're doing.
If you do go there, get the pork belly. That was the best meat I had on that menu.
I liked the bacon wrapped asparagus. That was good.
Yeah, that was number 2 for me. The rest, take it or leave it. Maybe it was the off day too. That's the thing is restaurants do have off days.
It was our last day.
Even the best restaurants have off days. And that's true. We were a little burned out, so it was our last day. So take that as it may. But food overall, love Disneyland food. Everybody says it's elevated over Walt Disney World. I would say, except for a few items like churros, Dole Whip, and
you like the Dole Whip better at Disneyland?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
They're right. It tastes different. I love Dole Whip in Disney World, but it had a creaminess to it that Disney World's didn't have. Maybe I just need to have it again at Disney World.
Yeah.
The churros for sure, completely different. There's no arguing that. Like churros in Disneyland, take it or leave it. Or sorry, Disney World, take it or leave it. In Disneyland,
they tasted better. They weren't as crunchy. They were more doughy.
But they still had a crunch.
Yeah.
But it wasn't stale.
Yes. Right?
I didn't have a single one that was stale. And all the flavors that we had of them, absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Some people do not like the crazy flavored churros. I was absolutely amazing.
The carrot cake churros.
Yeah. The thing is you can tell by the flavor whether you're going to love it or hate it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You read out the flavor and they nail that flavor so well. If it's a flavor combination that immediately you're like, I don't know about that, do not order that. If carrot cake churros sounds like the most revolting thing in the world, if you do not like carrot cake, order it. Do not order it.
You're not going to like it.
If you love carrot cake, you're going to love these churros. And that's it.
Yeah. That's the end of our rant on churros.
But besides Dole Whip and churros, I don't think I couldn't really taste a huge elevated difference in the food quality. I think Disney World does a fantastic job, with a few exceptions, of their food quality. So, yeah. I love Disneyland food, but I would take Disney World food over it.
I don't know about you, but I want a Ronto roast right about now.
Oh. Before we move on from food, we do have to mention that there are a few sit-down restaurants, very few, and there's only a few out of that few that I would deem worth spending your money at.
Lamplight Lounge,
Cafe Orleans.
Only those two?
I wouldn't go back to Blue Bayou.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. That's also a hot take, but I agree.
It's a beautiful atmosphere. Food was okay. Not the price that we paid okay.
It just felt like the whole experience was rushed. Like you couldn't properly enjoy it because you felt that like you couldn't relax.
Yeah, that's the impression that we got. And again, maybe we have to go back because we, as podcasters, or as what we're doing, content creators, whatever you want to call us, we owe everything at least a second chance. So, I would give it a second chance, but I wouldn't go, me personally, if I was in Disneyland and I only had a day, I wouldn't go running back there. In fact, I wouldn't go running back to any sit down because of how many quick service options you have. I'm not even running back to Cafe Orleans, or if I'm in California Adventure. Okay, I'm going to Lamplight Lounge.
You really liked Lamplight Lounge.
But I'm not going there for the food. I'm just going there to have a nice drink.
Yeah. But not that cucumber weirdness that you had last time.
Oh, yeah. I made the mistake. I forget what mezcal. I think it's called mezcal. I'm not sure that's how it's pronounced, but that's how it's spelled. Mezcal. I'm pretty sure.
Whatever it was weird.
It's like it's known to be a really smoky beverage. It's like a really smoky tequila. Not my thing. Didn't know what I was ordering. I heard cucumber and I thought refreshing.
It was not.
And I just needed something refreshing. It was not refreshing. It was smoky. It was smoky beyond belief. If I was in a smoky mood, like I love a good smoky peaty scotch, I probably would have drank that and been like, wow, that's good. Slow sipper, but good. But I was not. I needed something refreshing. Didn't know what I was ordering. Should have asked. Lesson learned, always ask if you don't know what you're ordering.
It's a good rule of thumb. You would think with common sense.
Yeah. But besides that, okay, so there's sit-downs in downtown Disney. We're not talking about downtown Disney sit-downs because we didn't actually get a chance to eat anything in downtown Disney.
Nah, we were going.
Yeah.
There was stuff to do.
And so don't take that into consideration. Also, at the resorts, like we've already talked about, at least at Disneyland Hotel, all the sit-downs were amazing there. And also, Grand Californian, I've heard, has some amazing sit-down options, character meal. As far as you're spending your money in the Disneyland parks, I would have a hard time recommending any of the ones that we sat down at to spend your time there. From a time perspective. Food perspective, you could make a decent argument, but even then, yeah. Moving on from food, though. Yeah. Now it's time for attractions. And obviously this is the big one, and this is a big debate. It's one of the biggest debates when you're comparing the two coasts. Again, we're not comparing the two coasts. We're just talking about our thoughts on Disneyland. And what is your overall thoughts on attractions?
I don't want to tell them. They're going to hate me.
Go ahead.
I like the rides a lot better.
No, that's a pretty common statement.
Okay, so they're not going to hurt me?
Yeah. Again, we're not comparing it to Disneyland, though. I mean, no. Disney World, though. We're just... Disneyland is its own thing. You've never been to Disney World. What are your thoughts on the attractions?
Storytelling was incredible, and I loved that they paid homage to so many of the original Disney movies, like Pinocchio and Snow White. And we even have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Like, this is insane.
Yeah. And actually, some of those rides, this is not a comparison, but some of those rides actually used to be in Magic Kingdom, and then things develop over the years. But what I will say is, and this is the only time I really will compare it, Disneyland to Magic Kingdom, is I like that there are differences.
Yes, because it gives you reasons to visit both.
Exactly. Yeah. But Disneyland as a park as a whole, Disneyland Resort as a whole of their attractions, I loved all the attractions. I loved the TNT scene in Big Thunder Mountain.
Yes! Oh my lord. We finally got to witness it.
Yeah. The goat, obviously.
Yes.
Pirates was its own unique thing. I was not expecting what it was. It was really cool, though.
It had a completely different vibe to it.
And like what you pointed out is there was a lot more Easter eggs from the movie in that version of the Pirates. So you can tell that they really were pulling from that attraction more than obviously the Walt Disney World one when they made that movie. So it was cool to see little tiny Easter eggs to the movies.
Yeah, I liked pointing them out to you like, oh, Easter egg.
Yeah.
Hey, Easter egg.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was really cool to see that. Tomorrowland was there. So there was some stuff under construction, but I would have loved to see Tomorrowland in its heyday. You can just see that was the Tomorrowland, and you can see what it used to be. It's kind of a shell of its former self. The People Mover isn't a thing anymore there.
That's so depressing.
I love their Buzz Lightyear ride. It's actually called something different than Walt Disney World.
What's it called? Astro
Blasters.
Yeah.
And you can pick up the guns, and it's way easier to shoot stuff. I will say that the targeting system, the whole ride is completely different. If you're used to Disney World, the targeting is completely different. It's a whole different strategy if you're trying to be a galactic hero. The closest I got was like 400,000, something like that.
You were a planetary space cadet.
No, I was above that. I was like a captain or something like that.
You were doing something higher than that.
Yeah.
Level 5, I think, is what you got.
Yeah, I got like 400,000, something like that. But
I only got level 4.
Yeah, it was. No, I like the rides in Tomorrowland. It's kind of weird to see Star Tours there.
Yeah, and it's so popular there. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, for sure. That was strange.
I've never seen Star Tours at 40 minutes.
Yeah. Again, trying not to compare, but
sorry.
The way they snake the lines is unique to California. I noticed this in not as much, but sometimes in Universal too. Disneyland, they're packing so much in there. It's crazy how small Fantasyland is, but how much they pack into it. It's kind of like where is this all going? You know what I mean? But
it's like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside.
That's what it felt like at points. It's, how are they fitting all these dark rides in here? It's bananas.
What's their secret?
I will say that I love their Frontierland. The Frontierland is huge.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny seeing that their Splash Mountain was not in Frontierland. Obviously, it's not Splash Mountain anymore. It will be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm disappointed that we never got to see Splash Mountain there.
Because that was the original?
I don't remember which one came first.
Oh.
But it was different. I know that. It was a little different. But it was cool that there's its own thing, Critter Country. I think that they'll probably just expand Tiana's to be inside of New Orleans Square when that comes out, and then Critter Country will just be the Pooh ride, pretty much, and some shops.
Like the Briar Patch. I love that they didn't get rid of the Briar Patch store like they did in Disney World.
But it's going.
No, it can't go because there's stuff in it. No! It is going, isn't it?
Of course it's going.
Okay.
And the uniqueness of the rides too. Our focus obviously was to ride the rides that are not at Disney World, because then you're not comparing to Disney, or the ones that are so far different. We knew already that they were going to be so far different than the ones in Walt Disney World. So, obviously we talked about some of them in Disneyland, like Big Thunder and Pirates. But there was some really unique rides that we just don't have in Disney World and never have, like Matterhorn, which was a chiropractor visit.
Yeah, it was. Mr. Roger Rabbit. Mr. Roger Rabbit? Wow.
No, Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin, I believe, was in Walt Disney World.
Really?
At one point.
Oh.
I believe so. Don't quote me on that. But
I won't.
I believe it was. But in California Adventure, you have things like Cars Land, where you have, the Mater's ride there is pretty much the alien ones.
UFO spin, or whatever it's called.
Alien,
saucer spin.
Yeah, my mind is not thinking of it. But there's unique ride, like Luigi's. That was a cute little ride.
Yeah, it doesn't function in any drop of rain, though.
Yeah, because it's an outdoor trackless ride.
Yeah.
It makes sense that, that ride outdoors would not work in Walt Disney World.
No.
But you have Radiator Spring Racers, which technically is the same ride system as Test Track, but it is not in any way Test Track. It's its own complete unique thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful ride.
And it's so popular, the line.
Yeah, the line gets pretty atrocious. We waited in it just to test the accuracy of it.
We were so fortunate to ride it twice.
And I think we would have been, the ride line when we went in, it said 65 minutes. I think we would have been in and out in 45 minutes, but the ride had broken down a few times.
Yeah.
Seems like a thing that happens a lot with that ride. It breaks down.
The same can be said about Test Track, though. It does. It goes down a lot.
Yeah, it depends on the weather. If it's raining, which actually doesn't happen in Radiator Spring Racers, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's something different.
Still operates in the rain, which is, again, that's unique. Avengers Campus, completely unique land that we don't have. The attractions. Okay, here's a big debate. People do not think the Spider-Man attraction is kind of a waste, because I think people were hoping for something more thrilling than like an arcade game. But I
do not agree. I like that ride a lot.
I think it's very unique.
Yeah.
I think that they should expand upon Avengers Campus. Do they have the? Oh wait, they are. They announced that a couple of years ago. We're getting a You don't remember that?
No.
It's a what's the universe they're obsessed with right now? It's
Multiverse?
Multiverse, thank you. It's a multiverse attraction. Take that as you may.
I will.
And it's an Avengers attraction. I remember that, and it's if
Thanos won.
If Thanos won, thank you. If Thanos won. It's a version of Thanos.
It's a what if ride?
Yeah, it's a version of Thanos that won the. That's what they've said so far, and they've announced I think at the previous D23 rather, they announced but they kind of showed some insight on the ride vehicle and how it would operate and things like that. So They are making progress on it. So eventually we will get an expansion of Avengers Campus.
Maybe they'll announce when it opens at this D23.
Perhaps, but that's another podcast for another time.
Ooh.
But yeah, overall the attractions are very unique. They stuff a lot in there. Again, not comparing it, but on its own thing, I love the Disneyland attractions. They get a 5 out of 5 from me. I love how much they stuff in there. There's, people say, okay, so you can do most of Disneyland Resort in, I would say, 3 days. But get yourself a 5-day ticket if you have the time and availability to do so. Because you use those extra 2 days and you're able to go a little slower, eat more food, appreciate the rides more. And then by the 4th or 5th day, you've ridden everything that you liked. Then you can kind of go back and ride everything again that you really loved. And the unique thing about buying tickets for Disneyland is you can book Genie Plus in advance, which is a nice little perk. You have it for the whole trip. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to wake up early in the morning to buy Genie Plus, and then at 7 a.m. there is no waking up early to get lightning lanes. You can't actually book any lightning lanes, and this includes individual lightning lanes, until you are physically inside the park, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to wake up early. You're not fighting a million You're not fighting a million people on your app. You just walk in, you tap in, and Genie Plus works beautifully in Disneyland. I will say that it's not a perfect system, but it does work a lot better. You still have to keep your eye on certain attractions that are more popular, like Indiana Jones.
Radiator Spring Racers.
No, that's an individual lightning lane.
Oh, dear.
or the Avengers Campus attractions, things like that. You do have to keep an eye out for, because those Genie Plus times will get extended more quickly. But for the most part, you're able to book a lightning lane, and within half an hour to an hour, you are tapping into that lightning lane, which is completely different than Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World, the best strategy you can do with Genie Plus for the most part is stacking, where you might be able to book a couple things in the morning, but then you're stacking things for the evening and afternoon and evening. And then, if you have time after you've gone through your stack that you've saved, you're tapping into your last lightning lanes that have a lower, that aren't as popular. So it's a different strategy. Both Genie Pluses work, but it's completely different. And the strategy, the way Genie Plus works in California would not work in Disney World, because it's a completely different crowd of people. So I'm glad they differentiated it, and they've kind of figured out, at least for now. Disney has said that Genie Plus is going to change, and they've hinted at maybe it being more like the Fast Pass system of the past, where 60 days out, kind of like your dining, you're booking your Genie Plus lanes, which a lot of people love the idea of, but I think it's just because that's what they're used to. We never did that with Fast Passes, and I don't think that we would enjoy it, to be honest with you. I would enjoy it. I would get used to it. I would, it is what it is, but
it sounds more complicated than it needs to be. To
book it 60 days in advance, I don't want to be thinking about... Look, I love itineraries. I love having a plan, but I do not want at 2 p.m., this is where we're going to be. At 3:35 p.m., so on and so forth, or whatever.
How can you plan your day when you don't know how you're going to feel for the whole day?
And that's our biggest problem, too, is we love the flexibility of being like, well, we need a break right now because we're dead tired.
I get dead tired a lot quicker than he does.
Yeah, so that's but the way Genie Plus is now in both parks works beautifully. And again, it's a lot more expensive in Disneyland. It comes with Memory Maker, which, if you're going to take advantage of that, it's something to think about for sure. If you want to use Memory Maker, get some photos taken, it's definitely definitely worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, guys, that was Disneyland. I would go back in a heartbeat. The next episode that we do about Disneyland will be a comparison between Disneyland and Walt Disney World.
And we will not pull our punches.
No, because Walt Disney World will forever be our home. That's where we will spend the majority of our theme park time. Well, I should say Orlando. Orlando is our home. That's where we spend the majority of our theme park time. But specifically Disney, obviously Walt Disney World. Disneyland, we will be back. We are trying to get D23 tickets, so we may even be back this year.
Will we? Stay tuned to find out.
Yeah. Overall, California is a beautiful, beautiful state. Yeah. I loved our time there. You loved your time there.
I was when I was warm.
Yeah. It was a little chilly during our visit, but hey, it's the winter in California. We didn't expect it to be like perfect weather,
Yeah, I should have packed more layers.
Yeah, that was a mistake on our part.
And sure. A hat. For sure. And a raincoat. And boots.
So, if you loved listening to this podcast, be sure to like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are listening to it on that or watching. If you are listening to this in audio format and it's on Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a review. Not sure if you can do that on Spotify. I should know that, but I don't. If you can do something on Spotify,
do the thing.
But as always, if you are planning a trip, be sure to get us involved, because guess what, guys?
It's free.
It's free. Doesn't cost you any money, and we can help you out a lot. Not only are we booking all your travel for you, but we are helping you plan your itinerary and giving you our personal advice on the things to do, what not to do, so you can have the best vacation possible and spend your money wisely. And I think that's so important, man. If you're spending your hard-earned money, make sure it's things that you want to do, things that are worth it. And yeah, why wouldn't you? If it's free and it helps you And you probably actually will save money because you save money on vacation packages. And I always have access to the most recent rates and discounts that Disney and Universal gives out. So it's kind of a no-brainer, guys. DM us on Instagram or click the link in the description. And as always, I've been Cal.
I've been Amberlynn.
And you've been watching
The Adventure Gateway.